This English story will make you rethink your choices. Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak in English. Today, I'm going to share a story with you that will make you rethink everything, yes, everything, about the choices you've made and the choices you're about to make. There's a powerful quote from Steve Jobs that goes, "Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work." But what happens when you're not sure what great work is? Or when you feel stuck in your current choices? Today's story will make you pause, reflect, and maybe even inspire you to change the direction you're headed in. It's a story of choices, regrets, and the realization that we have the power to change our path at any moment. So, if you've ever questioned the choices you've made or wondered if you're on the right path, stick with me. By the end of this video, you'll have a new perspective on the decisions that shape your life. Let's dive in. Let me introduce you to James. James was in his mid-30s, living what many would call a successful life. He had a good job, a steady income, and a comfortable routine. On the surface, everything seemed fine. But deep down, James felt something was missing. He had spent the last 10 years working in a corporate job he didn't enjoy. He had made the safe choices, the ones that seemed logical at the time. He graduated from college, got a stable job, and followed the path that most people would consider successful. But every day, James woke up feeling like he was just going through the motions. He had dreams, big ones. He wanted to start his own business, travel the world, write a book, maybe even live in a different country. But somewhere along the way, he had convinced himself that those dreams were just fantasies. The real world was about paying bills, climbing the corporate ladder, and being responsible. But as James sat at his desk one day, looking out the window, he realized something. He was living someone else's life. He was living a life dictated by others' expectations, not his own. And he couldn't shake the feeling that he was wasting his potential. Have you ever felt that way? Like you're living a life that doesn't truly reflect who you are or what you want. James was stuck in a cycle of comfort and complacency, but he didn't know how to break free. One day, James met up with an old friend, Sarah. Sarah had always been the adventurous one, the one who took risks and followed her heart. She had traveled the world, started her own business, and lived a life that seemed full of passion and purpose. As they sat at the cafe, Sarah began telling James about a new project she was working on, a business that combined her love for photography with her passion for sustainability. She spoke about the challenges, the excitement, and the freedom she felt in pursuing her dream. James listened, intrigued but also a little envious. He admired Sarah's courage, but he couldn't help but feel like he had missed his chance to do something meaningful. At one point, Sarah looked at him and said, "James, I've been thinking about you a lot lately. You've got so much potential, but you're stuck in a job you don't like, just going through the motions. Why don't you take a risk? Do something you're passionate about. The world needs more people like you who are willing to take a chance on their dreams." Her words hit James like a ton of bricks. He had heard this advice before, but for some reason, coming from Sarah, it felt different. It was like a wake-up call. He realized that his current life, while stable, wasn't fulfilling him. He had been playing it safe, but deep down, he knew he wasn't truly living. This moment, this conversation, was the catalyst that made James rethink everything he had been doing for the past decade. What if I'm not too late? He thought. What if I can still make change? After that conversation, James couldn't stop thinking about his choices. He spent the next few days wrestling with fear and doubt. He was afraid of failing. He was afraid of disappointing his family and friends. And, most of all, he was afraid of taking a risk and regretting it later. But as J.K. Rowling once said, "It is our choices that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." James realized that his fear wasn't the problem. The real problem was his unwillingness to take control of his own life. He had let fear dictate his choices for too long. And the more he thought about it, the more he realized that living in fear was a choice, too. "Do one thing every day that scares you," said Eleanor Roosevelt. James knew that if he was going to break free from this rut, he had to confront his fears and take action. It wasn't going to be easy, but it was the only way forward. So, James made a decision. He was going to take the first step toward change, no matter how small. He wasn't going to let fear control him anymore. James started small. He didn't quit his job right away, But he began working on his dream project in his free time. He enrolled in an online course to learn more about entrepreneurship. He started writing down his business ideas and began researching the industry he wanted to enter. At first, it was difficult. He didn't have all the answers, and there were plenty of setbacks. But with every small step he took, James began to feel a sense of excitement he hadn't felt in years. He was finally working towards something he cared about. He remembered a quote from Mark Zuckerberg: "The biggest risk is not taking any risk." James realized that the real risk was not taking action, staying in his comfort zone and living a life that didn't inspire him. He knew that if he didn't take action now, he might regret it for the rest of his life. A few months later, James made the leap. He left his corporate job and took the plunge into entrepreneurship. It was terrifying, but it was also exhilarating. He was finally living his truth, doing work that mattered to him. The first few months were tough. There were long hours, financial uncertainty, and plenty of moments where James doubted himself. But he kept pushing forward. He kept believing in his vision, even when it seemed like things weren't going his way. And slowly but surely, his business began to take off. He gained his first clients, built a network, and started seeing the fruits of his hard work. James had taken a risk, and it had paid off. As Oprah Winfrey says, the biggest adventure you can take is to live the life of your dreams. James had taken that adventure, and he was finally living the life he had always dreamed of. So, what's the takeaway from James's story? It's simple. Your choices define your life, and you have the power to change them at any moment. Whether it's your career, your relationships, or your personal goals, you don't have to stay stuck in a life that doesn't make you happy. As Jim Rohn wisely said, your life does not get better by chance, it gets better by change. It's never too late to take action, to pursue your dreams, or to make a decision that will change your life for the better. So, I want to challenge you today. What choice can you make right now that will move you closer to the life you want? It doesn't have to be a huge leap, it can be a small step, but it's the first step toward a future you'll be proud of. If you're ready to rethink your choices and take action, I want to hear from you. What's the first step you're going to take today? Let me know in the comments below. And if this video inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Speak in English for more stories that motivate you to live your best life. Thank you for watching, and remember, you have the power to make any choice you want. So, go out and make it count.